lot. And you can go back to cases like Loving versus Virginia, the anti-miscegenation case, decided I think in the late 60s, 1968. I mean, they've recorded those oral arguments going back for 50, 60 years. I don't know if Brown versus Board of Education is recorded, but certainly in the mid-60s or so, and you can listen to those. I mean, it's really, really interesting. But one of the things you learn, well, first of all, you learn about the personalities of the different justices, which is just fascinating, okay? But you also learn how much more the attorneys know about an issue and the law than the justices, who are required to do 6 oral arguments in a week on some varied areas of constitutional law or statutory interpretation. It's impossible for them to know as much as you know as a lawyer as you're presenting a case to a judge, because they've got so much more they have to get a handle on than you representing a single client who's making an oral argument or a presentation in front of a judge. It's true at the trial court level, it's true at the Court of Appeal level, and all the way to the Supreme Court. And you listen to those oral arguments, and you see that. You see that the attorneys know more than the justices, who are going to be ultimately deciding the case. So I'm going to do something that probably, if I were to take a poll of all the people here, you would all say, don't do it, Judge Hill. And that is, I want to comment on the 2020 elections. I mean, we just had them, okay? So it's almost impossible not to have an opinion one way or the other. So I was very fortunate. In 2013, I attended the Obama inauguration. So that wasn't the big one. The big one was 2009, right? In 2009, if you went to that inauguration, I knew people who did, you were likely stuck in traffic trying to get to the ceremony because it was so packed. I mean, there were millions of people. It was a massive throng of people from all parts of the country to view a very historic event in our nation's history. I went in 2013, so second inauguration, invited by a local politician, and it was great. I mean, it was like what you would want an inauguration to be like. It was civil. There were no protests. It was honoring somebody for having won the presidency. And we could move about freely. We listened to the speech, and the whole thing was just fantastic. Then I got invited to the Trump inauguration in 2017. Okay, this is a sort of a sign of the times that we all recognize, which is the unbelievable division. So when we arrive in 2017, and by the way, if someone invited me to Biden, I'd go to it. I mean, I'm a patriot. I believe in the country. I believe in what it has to offer its citizens. I believe deeply it's the best country in the history of the world. And I've traveled a lot and seen a lot. And so for me to be invited to an inauguration, I don't care if he's Republican, Democrat, or anything else, okay? I'm going because I feel very strongly about what this country has to offer people. So in 2017, we couldn't get out of our hotel room. It was like a war zone. So we had actually, like we did with Obama, we had tickets to an inauguration ball. And they closed our street because of demonstrations. My poor wife spent 2 hours getting dressed and looking good. She only needs 5 minutes to look good, but she took 2 hours, okay? She took 2 hours, and we never got out of the hotel room because they closed down the street. And it was just chaotic, and people have a right to protest, and everybody understands that. But it was just an unfortunate example of the divisions we have that we have to work through. We have to become more civil as a country. We have to be more respectful of other people's opinions. We can have our own views and hold them strongly, but to engage in violence and destruction and acts of aggression against others, that's not helpful. That's not going to be helpful in moving us forward as a country. So I plead to you, you're going to have different views, and you should You should argue with others, debate others, hold to those views strongly. But we do have a need on both sides of the aisle for a little more civility with those that we disagree with. The need for fairness, equal treatment, that's something that exists, that we need in the courtroom. We need it outside in the courtroom. Wasn't easy with President Trump. He's not the most, to say the least, civil, respectful, easy person to communicate with. And so that's contributed to division, and that's unfortunate. And hopefully we'll all do better at being civil to each other. There's another lesson. Can I keep going? Huh? I'm going to tell another personal story, and it's a good one. So with the inauguration experience with President Obama, so we had a pretty good connection with the local congressperson here. So after the inauguration ceremony and before the ball we were invited to, we got a private tour at the United States Supreme Court, which was cool. So on the top floor of the Supreme Court, there's what's called the highest court in the land. And the highest court in the land is a basketball court. So we go up to the highest court in the land, and there's a young black man, probably 28 or so, shooting baskets. And I'm in street clothes, but doesn't stop me from saying to him, I'll play a game of one-on-one. He looks at me, get out of here, you old white fat judge. Well, I'm not playing basketball with you. And I said, okay, it's true, I'm in street clothes, I've got dress shoes on. I said, but I'll play a game of horse. And I proceeded to beat him. It's the only thing I could do on the basketball court. I was slow, I couldn't jump, I played no defense, but I could shoot the basketball. My wife is here to corroborate this, okay? So I'm not just puffing here, not puffing. So I beat him, and after I beat him, he had a newfound respect. And the word spread throughout the Supreme Court and all the administrative staff that there was this old white guy who was a judge who could shoot